Before this episode, we need to briefly talk about something that has been felt by the anime community around the world. On July 18th, Kyoto Animation's first studio went up in flames, taking with it the lives of 34 staff members and injuring many others. Along with the loss of life, almost all of KyoAni's work which was stored at the studio is believed to have been destroyed. Out of respect for the victims and those that have lost their lives in the attack, we will not be naming or mentioning any details around the man believed to be the attacker. Instead, we'd like to encourage you and all anime fans to help the Kyoto Animation family during this difficult time. Sentai Filmworks have set up a GoFundMe page to support the families of the victims. Sentai are one of KyoAni's North American distributors and can be trusted to provide the money directly to the studio. Also, if you have messages of support or artwork, Crunchyroll have created a page where you can submit them. They've said they're looking at how and when they will deliver these messages to the KyoAni team at a time which is appropriate. You can find links on how to support KyoAni in the description of this episode and on our Facebook page. Kyoto Animation have long set themselves apart from the traditional animation industry by how well they treat their staff, offering proper full-time contracts instead of the traditional by-the-frame payment that is the industry standard. From us at Kawaii-Fi, our heart goes out to all those who've been affected by this terrible tragedy. As a studio that's created some of our most beloved animes and films, we wish KyoAni a supportive and safe recovery as they try to heal and rebuild after this horrible attack. Our thoughts are with you.
Ava launch!
Tetsuo! Kaneda!
Onita?
It's over 9,000!
Nani?
Configure the language logic interface for Japanese.
Kawaii-Fi.
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 Kawaii-Fi Radio!
Konnichiwa and welcome to a new episode of Kawaii-Fi Radio, the podcast where we look at the world of anime, manga, and all things in between. I'm your host Kyle, and joining me are my co-hosts Coco and Kenny. Hey guys!
Hey, how you doing?
Very good. I'm sitting here preparing to raid Area 51 with my
your
Naruto
monster
runner
drink.
friends with a monster drink.
I
Yes.
actually, I scoped out a video on YouTube not so long ago. Someone has made an anime opening for the raid on Area 51.
Oh, that'd be
It's
amazing.
just so much material to work with, isn't it? And it's interesting that, I know I say that word a lot, but it is, because I didn't realise until very recently that this stereotype of the name Kyle exists. You know,
Neither did I.
punching dry walls, punching,
Punching dry
everything.
walls and consuming countless energy drinks.
Yeah, all the
And
monster.
wearing anything monster branded.
Yes, yes.
But I do have to ask you a very important question. Do you love your mother in a two-hit multi-target attacks?
Oh dear
No.
gods, no.
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 So
we've tried, guys.
We
We
have.
have tried.
We wanted to give it the 3-episode treatment, but frankly,
I can't.
we're not going to.
I
No.
can't.
It made us not able to take it.
Yeah, so we've, to give some context, Do You Love Your Mother in a two-hit multi-target attack is a currently airing anime. We did mention it during our episode preview season preview last episode, and we did state that obviously the first episode hadn't been released at that point, so we didn't know what was going to happen to it, but we thought the premise sounded funny.
Sounded like such a novel concept, didn't it?
It does. It's sort of like animes with long titles.
Ever.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
can be great or they can be disappointing.
This is not good.
Yeah, it's the
Characters
opposite of
are bad. Plot is bad. There is a lot wrong with this. It's basically smut.
so bad.
and-
It's not even that subtle.
And
It's
Coco,
less subtle.
Coco, you quite like cringe humor.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of your bag.
I love it.
And this is cringy, but you're more.
It's too much.
This is
for you.
terrifying. There's
Yeah.
cringe and there's horror. This is horror. This is wrong.
The irony being is we thought this was, we didn't expect it to be an amazing anime, but we thought it would be, sort of middle of the pack.
There are isekais aplenty these
Yeah,
days,
yeah.
and this sounded like a different kind of a take on it. But
But this one has literally scraped the bottom of the barrel, and I'd say it's probably the worst of the season of the ones we've talked about. And that's saying a lot considering some of the ones we've talked about.
indeed.
Pretty bad, guys.
So from the
Pretty
bottom of the barrel
bad.
to the creme of the crop, Dr. Stone.
Oh yes,
So
loving
good.
this.
It is so shown, and I love the pure OTT-ness of everything they say and everything they do, and everything they say is a big deal.
Everyone has pro tag hair. Everyone is just crazy strong or
Yeah.
crazy smart or crazy.
And
It's,
I just love the energy.
it's a world of almost
it.
superhero kind of people.
And I love the fact that for so long, because those first couple of episodes we were watching, we're going, oh, the girl's not going to get resurrected anytime soon.
Yeah.
Everything that you see in the intro misleads.
Yeah.
It's true, it really does.
It's really well done, and I'm really looking forward to it. And even it says a lot when even Anime News Network and Crunchyroll are posting their reviews on it and saying that this does the shonen genre right and in a different way from everything that's come before.
Oh, because take your typical shonen like Bleach or Naruto or something. Yeah, you've got your character, they've got their values, and they've got their superpowers. In this one, the superpower is knowledge. It's science. It is teaching the audience something about the world, even if it's potentially dangerous stuff that the anime advises you not to try at home.
And I love the notion, I've thought about this sort of stuff before, the old, what if you're one of the few to miraculously survive a cataclysmic event and mostly everything technological is wiped out? Or even you are transported hundreds of thousands of years into the past with all of your memories intact. I've often wondered about those scenarios. What would I invent first? Like the wheel, the mirror, clothes, shoes.
The iPad.
A religion?
A religion.
That would probably be a powerful thing.
Celebrate me!
Yeah. Any listeners, if you have an idea as to what you would create first,
Yeah, let us
drop
know
us-
in the comment
yeah.
section.
we'd love to hear.
Oh, that's asking for trouble.
That the flame will begin. Now,
We highly recommend Dr. Stone,
I
obviously.
highly recommend it.
Absolutely.
But we need to talk about. So I have been binge reading manga again
As you do.
because now that the season in review and season ahead research is done and dusted, I have time. And
Yes.
please don't bully me, Nagatoro.
I thought you were going to ask us not to bully you
My name's not
until you said
Nagatoro.
Nagatoro.
Please don't bully me. But just because my name's Kyle.
Okay, so
I'm not a drywall punching monster through.
This manga, it's about girls,
love it.
younger girls
All right.
bullying this poor older
Older
dude.
senpai. So
But not too old, obviously.
No, he's just the
It's
year
high
above us.
school.
So essentially, if you've seen any of Teasing Master Takagi, it's a very similar vein. It's a girl teasing a guy who she likes. And there's that romance element to it, but it's hidden behind obviously that.
It's pretty deeply hidden in this. She's very mean to him.
She is, but it starts off. I got to be honest. The first 3 chapters, I'm sitting there going, "Why is everyone so excited by this? This seems a little bit twisted." And then you start seeing She seems evil, and you start seeing little bits and pieces coming through and showing up, and you're going, "Oh wow." She actually likes him. She actually likes him a whole lot and doesn't know how to show that. And it's never more evident than when Nagatoro has to defend her senpai, who is, to this stage, we don't know his name. He's just referred to as senpai.
Or Paizen.
Or Paisen, which is
Yeah. Which
senpai
is
spoonerized.
Yeah.
Which apparently is either in Japan, that's either being rude or showing familiarity. In the case of
The context.
I think
is-
it's being
yeah.
rude. But I think it starts off being rude and then it becomes familiarity. The friends of Nagatoro, especially one of them who
they
looks like
join
she,
in.
yeah, well, they join in, and then Nagatoro immediately comes to his defense and protects him.
It's like,
He's
no one else can
no one
tease
can
me."
tease him. He's
Yeah,
fine.
when I was looking over your shoulder when you were reading that, it's like, is the one moment in the manga that I could see where the main character, didn't have scary Titan face.
I wouldn't say she has scary Titan face. She kind of has a look of
Joker?
No. So what's that anime style
Just
where it's
evil
the girl
madness.
who clearly wants to kill everyone?
Oh, yandere.
Yandere. So she's got that bit of yandere look to her grin. It's sort of almost evil. But as you get along into it, you start noticing moments of glee from her, and it's not because she wants to bully him, it's because she wants to spend time with him. And that's her excuse.
And bullying is the best way she can think of, or picking on him.
Well, I mean,
is,
think
or
back to
messing
like
around with him is the best way for
well, when you think
for
back to like
attention.
primary school days, the way guys and girls got each other's attention was by saying silly or nasty things to each other.
eliciting a reaction.
Yeah. It's a similar principle.
And
but
I've seen this in reality, like especially in high school, like once girls hit maybe like 13, 14, like some of them start to realize I can get reactions from people. I'm going to pick on this person and often it happens like
I had
for
it happen to
example-
me on the bus from one of the girls from the school who was the sister school to us, and she was
Yeah.
like 2 years below me, and she would just like keep following me around and then, sit next to me on purpose and put her head on my shoulder. I'm sitting there going,
Yeah, and it's
dude,
like,
we've never
what-
even talked.
Like, what are you doing? Have you ever had that happen, Kenny? Like with because you've got a sister, don't you? Has any of her friends just sort of started, picking on you or anyone?
One of them, now that I think about that, and oh dear, now that I think about that. I am a clueless individual for that sort of stuff, sorry. I'm more at home with my movies and my camera and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's, I'm going to need to rethink some stuff there.
We
Yeah.
need to put you in a manga. You sound like a great protagonist to be
Oh,
chased by a
you
young,
can be senpai.
yeah,
Yeah,
a young
obvious.
happy
Yeah,
girl.
Don't
but
do it.
isn't it interesting how this happens? It's sort of like they start to discover some sort of power, or maybe it's evil. I don't know. Maybe it's just pure evil.
Well, in the case of Nagatoro, please don't bully me, Nagatoro. It is a manga. We believe it is due for an anime adaptation because it's the
Yeah.
publishing company. I believe is actually connected to the same studio that does TZ Master Takagi,
Which would make sense.
There's about 4 of these mangas at the moment. TZ Master Takagi, Please Don't Bully Me, Nagatoro, and then there's 2 others. I don't know the name offhand. I think one of them is a bit more adult orientated and one's in a younger gap.
Is this going to be the new sort of like big long genre like isekai?
I
Is it
think,
just gonna be like-
it's a new subgenre, of like the school life.
Yeah.
But
There's going to be dozens of these now?
often the stories don't progress. And in the
See, I love seeing progressive stories.
in the case of Please Don't Bully Me, in 35 chapters, there has been story progression and character progression. I mean,
Okay.
as much as I love TZ Master Takagi, I want there to be progression in their relationship. And you get that because of the spin-off of it, which shows them as adults.
Yeah, when they're like together and like it's,
They've got a kid.
But they're
The
not
ending
giving
is
us
revealed, but-
they're not giving us the big stories and how they actually got together.
The big payoff, the cash
Oh,
money.
like that's what we want.
It is.
But they're not giving us it.
You just know that moment is like late high school for them.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like early middle school. So it's just going to be like, oh God, how many seasons are we going to have of this? Is this
Yeah.
just going to be in the next One Piece?
It's going to drag out.
Yeah.
But we should move on and talk about this episode. And it's all about the music of anime. Now, this is from connections with the Japanese music industry to animes that focus purely on music. So we'll be looking at how the anime music industries are intrinsically connected in Japan, with voice actors, music labels, and companies working together to create a final product. And then in Back Catalogue, we're going to look back at one of the many music-focused animes that's beloved by fans in the music industry alike. We are, of course, talking about KyoAni, Put Down That Kazoo. And in Cinema Club, we're looking at an amazing collaboration between French music and Japanese animation with Interstella 5555. But before we do that, we've got to do the news.
Making headlines.
Really? Sort of. Anime news.
Weathering with You opens at number 1 at the Japanese box office, and bad news for the Hollywood adaptation of Akira. This is Kawaii-Fi anime news. This season's occult firefighting anime, Fire Force, has resumed broadcast this week after delaying the show's 3rd episode last week. The studio decided the upcoming episode required editing following the events at Kyoto Animation Studios, with MBS declaring they would alter future episodes if any issues arose. The changes being made include altering the colour of the flames and a new narration being recorded. Warner Bros. Has put the upcoming live-action adaptation of Akira on indefinite hold due to a scheduling conflict with director Taika Waititi. An overlap in the shooting schedule for Akira and the upcoming Thor Love and Thunder film, along with delays to the filming start date, has resulted in the long-suffering adaptation being delayed once again. It's taken almost 2 decades for the project to get off the ground, and Warner Bros. Are apparently hopeful Taika will return to head the project after Thor is completed. MMORPG anime Sword Art Online has begun its 10th anniversary celebrations this month, with a sneak peek at the upcoming second half of the series' Alicization arc. The series was first published in April of 2009 and has since spawned 3 anime seasons, a spin-off anime, a film, a range of manga, and several games. As part of the celebration, a special interactive exhibit will be running in Tokyo's Akihabara UDX venue from August 4th to August 18th. The continuation of the 3rd season is due to begin broadcasting as part of the fall anime season this October. Renaissance art manga Arte will be receiving an anime adaptation, according to publishing company Tokuma Shoten. Set in 16th century Firenze, Italy, the manga follows a young girl called Arte, who comes from a noble family and dreams of becoming a painter. As being an artist was restricted to only men during the period, she finds a painter named Leo to take her on as an apprentice. The series begins publication back in 2013. Isekai light novel series High School Prodigies Have It Easy Even in Another World is also receiving an anime adaptation due for October this year. The book focuses on 7 high school students considered geniuses in areas ranging from economics to politics, and the group is involved in an accident waking up in another world. They decide to work together to find a way back home while helping to rebuild the poor village that's rescued them. Heading to the bookshelves, 2 manga series are finishing up in the coming months, both from Shueisha's weekly publications. Hinomaru Sumo, the story following a high school sumo club and their height-challenged leader, will be coming to an end after 5 years, with its final chapter due out in Weekly Shonen Jump's 34th issue. The manga's inspired an anime series last year, with the manga's 28th and final volume due for release in December this year. In sister publication Weekly Shonen Champion, psychological magic girl horror series Magical Girl Sight is also coming to an end, with 3 chapters left, according to creator Kentaro Sato. Having run since 2013, the series saw a 12-episode anime adaptation last year, which was released on Amazon Prime internationally. The last chapter is expected in the magazine's August 1st publication. And finally, Makoto Shinkai's new film, Weathering With You, has took the top spot at the Japanese box office this week, taking 1.6 billion yen in its first 3 days. The film has earned almost 30% more from its opening weekend than his previous smash hit, Your Name, and the film is expected to earn over 10 billion yen by the time its run comes to an end. That's around 95 million US dollars. The film will premiere in North America in September as part of the Toronto International Film Festival and is set to get a limited release as part of the awards season. While a full international release has not been confirmed yet, several film industry sites are suggesting an early 2020 release is likely. And that's your anime news for the week ending July 28th, 2019.
It's cursed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Akira.
Yeah,
it's
awful. I mean, I was really excited.
Likewise, like there was that whole thing that if they started early, they would get like a tax write-off or something like that.
Yeah, and they did get the tax write-off, and now they can't cash in on it.
I'm actually quite happy to wait.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to wait.
I'm being really patient about this because they have to get it right, because if they don't, things will burn.
I've had that for games, actually. I've seen a lot of like my favorite sort of video games, or ones that I thought were going to be my favorite, rushed out and just incomplete. So I am with you on that, Coco.
I would rather they wait as well, but I think there's always like Taika in particular he's a great person to have on board for this.
A very creative soul.
And he's, a lover of the manga series as well, which means that he'll want to adapt it as faithfully as possible. My concern is that Warner Bros. Might say, because, I mean, you get this with any film where someone say there's creative differences in a source involved in the production says there's creative differences between the director and the studio. And that has been said about Akira because they probably just want to push out a cash cow.
They
and
do.
He wants to actually do a proper film.
I'd say a lot of directors would also feel that way.
Yeah.
Especially knowing, what has happened before when you push things out and people end up having to apologize years later for what they wrote.
Are we talking about...
We don't talk about that. I will find the freaking censor button and I will freaking frick you.
Where do you guys keep that thing?
Right over here in this box with a padlock and a thumb reader. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You won't be able to get it open.
Challenge accepted.
So look, I just want them to do it right, and if they do it, it's like Dread.
Yeah.
They did that right. They just
well.
didn't market it
They didn't.
excellent, but
on the note of doing things right, Weathering With You.
Whoa.
Yeah, that is looking good.
I watched the trailer for that today, and my God, the camera work. I mean, considering it's camera work for an animation, how do you really?
Yeah.
But the way that they've captured light in it, the way that they've done like the effects of rain and clouds and weather.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's just, it captures such a gorgeous atmosphere. I'm so excited for this.
I mean, this is the same guy who made Your Name, and I believe it was 5 centimeters a second was his breakout film. The films that he releases are just phenomenal, and you know they
He's
really
an artist.
he is, and it really speaks to the heart, every single one of them. And you know, you watch the trailer and you'll get like, I think about a minute 30 and you think, oh, okay, so that's it. No, you suddenly discover a whole new wave of elements to that's, you know, part of the story, which like before that it's like, oh, it's just a love story. No.
Yeah.
No, there's
it's
something
rug
else.
gets pulled out, but in a
Yeah.
good way.
And like they're saying that they expect to make over 10 billion yen, was it?
Yeah, so almost 10 million US, 100 million US, sorry.
I
So-
believe them.
Yeah, and that's just for the Japanese market. They're not even talking about the international release,
Hmm.
which, as I said, they haven't officially done it, but G Kids have got the rights for North America,
Oh.
and they do want to put it out during the awards season window so that they can get it nominated
Oh, yes.
for the Academy Awards.
Oh wow, that would be sensational.
Because, I mean, your name missed out because it wasn't released during the right award season, and that, you know, was
Tragic,
awful.
yeah.
But, yeah, anyway, moving on, we should start talking about music.
Kawaii-Fi radio.
And now for our feature presentation.
Now featuring
Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Okay.
Yes, that's our attempt at music. I mean, we haven't got any instruments in this studio. It's all in another room in boxes.
Maybe later.
So, this feature, we are talking about anime and the music industry. And there's one thing that you can always use to deepen a connection with a story, and that's music. So, it can make a heroic scene epic, it can make you cry for a character's pain, or it can bring a bit of melancholy for, you know, days gone by, high school, or whatever it might have been, early days of romance. But while music is a part of what's deemed Western entertainment, you know, for us, we see songs used all throughout pretty much any media we consume from America and the UK and Australia. When it comes to anime, the connection between the two is something that's been ingrained in the industry from its very early days.
And I mean, with any kind of piece of media, with any kind of movie or TV series, the music and sound like that plays just as important role as the visuals.
It does.
I mean, it will give away the atmosphere. It will like shock the audience. It will like catch their emotions and wind them up.
Or in the case of Michael Bay, give you lots of wob, 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 wob noise whenever there's a big explosion on screen.
Less said about that, the better.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I liked the first one, but it gets old
It
after you just recycle
Transformers?
everything.
Yeah, okay, yep. So,
Just painful.
most music found in anime seems to have a bit of an unknown quantity to it. It somehow feels unique, emotive, and connected to Japanese animation culture, regardless of the genre it's come from. And somehow that music we tend to find in anime seems like it's almost connected to the story in a way, both from the emotion and the feel it gives off, which is a hard thing to do, and they succeed consistently. And it's much more so than we find in Western TV shows. I mean, there are examples that are amazing for stuff that's been produced, such as Westworld, where the music is used to great effect.
Yeah.
For certain series like that, for the big like award winner ones, you get like the opening theme and it will like tell you everything about what's going to happen. I want to like point out shows like True Blood or Stranger Things. It's like you hear that theme, you know what you're in for.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks.
And well, yeah.
But from there, when you look at most of the stuff we get, a lot of the stuff that is just pumped out and generic, like
yeah.
all those lawyer shows and so on, you don't really associate the music with the story. It's just part of it to let you know it. I mean, CSI Miami, of course, has The Who, which immediately connects it to it, but that's all that connects it. It's not a vibe throughout the show.
Yeah, it's not. It basically it is just there for almost nostalgia's sake. It's not really integral.
Now, when it comes to this unique emotion and unique feel that we get in anime, well, Japanese music, we will cover that in another episode in full because there is a bit of a science behind it. But the connection is something we're going to look at a bit more closely, and this is to do with the strong intercompany connection that we have in Japan between the music industry and its strong ties to the anime industry ever since the 1980s. And this is with music labels and producers being part of the actual production process. And you might have seen companies like Pony Canyon or King Records or Aniplex in the intro credits of an anime here and there. And they're often on board for one of two things: pure music production or production more widely. And we'll get into that right now. So Pony Canyon, let's start with a big name of their own. And you and me, Kenny, years ago were watching, it was Full Metal Panic.
Yes,
and
that's
they were
right.
in the intro, and we're like, what on earth is Pony Canyon?
Yeah, it was just something
Yeah.
we didn't know. We figured
Around
it was advertising company,
brand.
sponsorship brand, something like that. Yeah.
So no, Pony Canyon did all the music for Full Metal Panic.
And not
Now-
only them, surely.
Now, Pony Canyon is a huge name in the Japanese music industry. And if you've watched any casual amount of anime, say around 10 shows a year, you'll have seen it pop up because they're in almost everything in one way or another. The name comes from actually the combination of two record labels owned by Fuji Sankai Communications Group. They had Pony Inc., which was named after the branding that they used for their 8-track and cassette tapes, which were Pony Cass and Pony 8-track.
Now that's taken me back.
Yep, and Canyon Records. And these were both established in the late 60s and early 70s, respectively. FCG, the group, was actually the fourth largest media group in the world in 1991, and you might have heard of one of their major brands, Fuji TV. All connected. So like many companies, Pony Canyon's got a pretty diverse range of incomes, but what it all comes down to in its core is two things: producing music and anime. Their music production work includes a number of big series: Are My Goddess, Attack on Titan, Blue Dragon, Dagashi Kashi, Fairy Tail, Full Metal Panic, Hunter x Hunter, Ranma and a Half, Robi Hachi, Tamako Maka, A Silent Voice, K-On! I can keep going. There's a
Wow.
lot.
Yeah, if listeners want to go back and listen to that at half speed, there is a bunch of good animes in
Yeah,
there.
and we will, every single one of these animes is something we will be doing in our upcoming Kawaii-Fi reviews series. So we will touch on all of these.
Hell yeah.
But this says a lot because this is just the series they've done the music on. They've produced other series as well. But the thing is that they're a company which is a record label and has artists signed to them who they can commission to make the music for the show. They've got composers on board who can make the music for the show.
I mean-
it's connected from the top to the bottom.
Unsurprising considering just how mainstream anime really became in the 80s and 90s. So yeah,
and
it pretty much
especially now.
coincides around the same time that they came together.
Exactly.
And no wonder, it's just taking opportunity of such a very popular field of entertainment.
And on the note of the 80s and 90s, that brings us to King Records. And they're another company who've played that big important part of anime where they can, similar to Pony Canyon, where they collect music production and anime production together. A few examples of the music production side that they've done is Arjun, the Blame movie, the original Battle Angel Alita, Neon Genesis Evangelion and its rebooted films, Metropolis, Rosario Vampire, Slayers franchise. Once again, can keep going.
Once again,
Won't.
listen back to find some
On
good
half
animes in
speed.
there.
King Records had their subsidiary record label called Starchild, which was established in 1981, and it specializes in only music for anime.
I think I heard of them.
Yeah. Now, they're no longer known as Starchild. They were rebranded in 2016 to King Amusement Creative, which is actually a part of King Records' anime department. So it's got a strong presence both due to its chart-topping artists who were assigned to them, who are also celebrated voice actors. One big name on their books, Hayashibara Megumi. You might recognize her from a few voice acting roles because she's credited as Megumi, Megumi, all in caps. That is her stage name. And you will see when you're going through the list of voice actors in shows, her name all in caps, and you go, who on earth is that? Well, she's a voice actress, singer, musician. Voiced Rei Ayanami in Neon Genesis, Ranma-chan in Ranma, Faye Valentine in Cowboy Bebop.
As in, which Ranma?
Ranma-chan, female Ranma. Right. Yep. Lena Inverse from the Slayers franchise. Jessie in Team Rocket from Pokemon in every single episode that she's in. Several Pokemon, as a matter of fact, as well. I believe she voiced the Bulbasaur. Go figure.
Well, while you're there.
Most of her songs have made it into the top 10 in Japan, and many have been used for anime openings and endings. You're seeing the connection here.
Yeah, I actually did some research on that matter. There was a huge boom of voice actors / singers in the early thousands to, recently, of course. And that's basically become a pervasive thing because of the popularity of anime. Just getting fame for being in an anime guarantees you stardom.
Well, I found a couple of really interesting articles that explain how anime has helped Japanese pop and rock industries get on the international stage. Because without them, a lot of that music would never be heard unless you specifically searched for it.
Exactly, yeah.
So, I mean, there's another big name we need to talk about under King Records, which is Miss Kinana. She's a voice actor, singer, musician again. Also a radio host now. She voiced Hyuga Hinata in all the Naruto series, Wrath in Full Metal Alchemist, Mocha in Rosario and Vampire. And do you remember the recent Dragon Ball Broly film where there is the girl, the green girl, Chile?
Yeah.
Voiced her too.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Hey.
So she's released 12 studio albums. 8 have reached the top 3 or higher in the Oricon charts, and she is the first voice actress to top the weekly Oricon albums chart and the weekly Oricon single chart since its inception since 1968.
Wow.
So it says a lot about how their music side and the voice acting and anime production side are colliding. And that's looking at the 80s and 90s for each of them.
You know, I'm actually a little surprised you haven't mentioned a certain someone at the moment.
I'm holding off talking about the bestest waifu of all.
I thought we weren't going to talk about waifus. We established that in episode 1.
Yeah, but the thing is, Rei Takahashi's a real person who's actually an amazing voice actor,
so
a talented
You're
singer.
just telling us
loophole
why
then,
you want her to be your waifu.
No.
So I'm going to choose a husbando.
A husbando.
And Kenny, you can choose whatever you like.
I choose you, Cthulhu.
I am joking.
He's really not.
And thirdly, moving on, we have Aniplex, who you will have no doubt seen in the opening of many animes. They are owned by Sony Music.
Hey.
Okay.
Yep. And they have long been involved in planning, production, and distribution of animes, along with soundtracks, music productions for films, anime, you name it. They're also a parent company of A1 Pictures, Cloverworks, and Madman Anime Group.
Whoa.
Yeah. And when it comes to music, its connection is probably a bit obvious considering it's owned by Sony. But let's have a look at the soundtracks they've created. Bacano, Black Butler, Demon Slayer, which is currently airing, Erased, all of the Fate Stay Night and Fate Stay Zero and Fate Grand Order series.
Big name.
Gintama, Gurren Lagann, Kaguya-sama Love is War from last season.
Yay.
All of the Naruto series, Madoka Magica, Soul Eater, Sword Art Online. That is a drop in the ocean of their list. Those are the big ones I could find just after that. And it's huge.
Yeah, that'll be making them money for the next century.
Yeah, so, I mean, you have a look at their connection. So Aniplex are more based on the animation side, but they're owned by a record label. They have a record label. They have sub-studios, and they have artists signed to them who will create music directly relating to the theme and the vibe and almost the soul of the anime that it's designed for, which is something we don't get. If you have a look at recent Marvel series, like they shoehorned in Nirvana into the Defenders. You know, Come As You Are. Okay, that's cool. But it's not written for it, and it doesn't feel like it's a connection. It just feels like it was used to promote it.
Yeah, by the same token of that, you've got Iron Man playing AC/DC Back in Black, and like, that's his jam. That's his favorite music. It features throughout his movies because that's his character.
Features because it was used in the first film and then it was repeatedly used to build the connection. The music that the Japanese industry puts out and uses in anime feels like it's connected from the first bar.
Oh, absolutely.
It doesn't feel like you have to build that connection. It feels like it was always there. And that says a lot.
That instantly brings to mind Domestic Girlfriend.
Yeah. To quote a great article that I saw, Domestic Girlfriend is a dumpster fire and I love it.
But the artist who did the opening theme for that, her name slips my mind at the moment.
Oh, yeah. And she's really hard to track down as well because she's a young new artist and she's only had a few songs out. And I believe we did do a cover of her on one of the previous shows.
Minami,
yes. Because whenever you search for Minami, you find the other singer who's been doing stuff for a few decades. But it's phenomenal how well she's done, and the passion that opening sequence for Domestic Girlfriend and the passion that is in that song felt like it belonged there. And having read the manga and then hearing that opening song and just going, oh wow, this song totally gets it.
It's a match made in heaven.
It is. And it's not just musicians either. It goes a lot further, doesn't it, Coco?
Yes, it certainly does. There are quite a number of composers who are very well respected in not only the anime industry, but the music industry as well. And they work on quite a number of titles, actually.
Have you got a list too?
Got a bit of a list. Shall we start with Kano Yoko?
Oh.
She composed the score for Cowboy Bebop, as well as recorded all songs for the series with her band Seatbelts.
And the Seatbelts are just a phenomenal...
Yep.
So the idea about the Seatbelts is they're meant to be a jazz band, and yet they're
a bit of everything,
They
aren't
cover
they?
every single genre and do it flawlessly, from heavy metal to pop
Yeah.
rock to almost like, little tapping ensembles.
And you know how Spike always wears his seatbelt?
Ah.
That's why they called...
Really?
That's why she called them the seatbelt. The seatbelts, or...
Oh,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, she's also written scores for Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex, Wolf's Rain, and one of my favourites, Space Dandy.
Yeah.
I love Space
See,
Dandy.
Wolf's Rain in particular was the big project that they did after Cowboy Bebop. It's a very different genre and different story, but if you're looking on a purely musical level...
Oh, yeah.
It's meant to be stunning. Full disclosure, I haven't watched Cowboy Bebop yet in
Well,
its entirety.
not in its entirety. I think you've seen like half of it.
Yes, I have.
Because I sat you down and forced you to watch it and then left the room. Like, just embrace it without me talking.
Interestingly, the mecha art designer Yamane Kimitoshi was also working on Cowboy Bebop. He had worked on Bubblegum Crisis as well, where every episode is named after a punk rock song or album.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a connection there. Next person I'm going to talk about is absolutely incredible as well.
Does his name start with a J?
No, not
I
yet.
wanna
Sagis Shiro, who
were
is
close.
famous for working extensively with Gainax Studios, composed the
that
score.
famous Gainax bass
Studio.
drop.
Yes. Composed the score to Anno Hideaki's Neon Genesis Evangelion. More recently, Shin Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
He has
wow.
also worked on Ranma Half, Kashin, Berserk, and Attack on Titan. He was awarded the Tokyo Anime Award for Best Music in 2010 for Evangelion 2.0 You Cannot Advance. One of his most stunning pieces, it's his song Ray 2.
Oh, the
played on
piano
piano.
rendition, that's
Yeah.
using it, which is just...
Far
Which
out.
they've actually used
Stunning.
as the outro for the recent dub of
Yeah.
Neon Genesis, which doesn't feel right there, but the song itself is
Oh, it's
beautiful.
absolutely
Yeah,
amazing.
it's fantastic.
Quick mention and shout out, as always, to Shin Godzilla. The music for me made this film.
Oh, yeah.
It is so
Just wow.
incredible. Everyone should watch it.
Another little gem in the big Godzilla monster movie crown.
It
Yep.
is.
Next person I'm going to talk about is...
Joe.
No.
I wanna
We'll
talk
get
about
there.
Joe.
We'll get there. Okay. So we have to talk about his sensei first.
I appreciate Joe Sensei. He's very good.
Watanabe Takeo first.
Okay.
This guy composed music for Mobile Suit Gundam.
Oh, yeah.
Candy Candy, which was incredibly popular in France.
It destroyed the children's minds
Yes.
and hearts with its cute and adorable essence.
Yeah, I loved that article saying that Candy Candy, this adorable little anime, was corrupting the youth of France.
Oh, so
Yep.
corrupt.
It's
must
just
find
like
that again.
The song has got the words "Dans le monde du candy, tout le monde est gentil," and it's like, in the world of candy, everyone's nice. How is that corrupting anyone? I don't see it. Anyway,
It's corrupting their teeth. That's about it.
Yeah,
With
that's
how
it.
sweet it is.
Lone Wolf and Cub, he also composed. One of his songs, Tome Tengu BDM, was used posthumously in the film Lost in Translation.
wow.
And of course, he was the sensei to Hisashi Joe,
Oh,
which is
Joe.
who Kyle wants to talk about.
I always want to talk about Hisashi Joe because he did almost all of Studio Ghibli's music. And
Yeah, except for one film, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle's husbando.
he's my husbando, yo.
So we're really departing from the earlier statement
No,
many
we're not.
episodes
It's just
ago.
for this episode.
All right, so
It's
this is
because I'm a
different.
musician and I
Kyle
love
is a
these
big,
people.
Yeah, he's a big fan of music. As are pretty much all of us. For Kyle, it goes a little deep, especially
It
with
cuts me
Hisashi
deep.
Joe. Yep.
It cuts me deep. I have all this sheet music sitting there, and I can't wait to buy a keyboard so I can start playing it. Because while it's nice on the guitar, transposing it's not as much fun.
Yeah, and you can get more notes across.
Exactly.
On the piano, I think.
Yeah. Well, with the piano, I can technically do like 8 notes at a time, maybe 10 if I was extremely
Yeah.
dexterous. I'm not.
So, of course, Hisashi Joe is famous for scoring many, well, all except for one, of Miyazaki Hayao films, as well as Mobile Suit Gundam, following in the footsteps of his sensei Watanabe Takeo.
Wow.
As well as the soundtrack to the 1998 Winter Paralympics, and he also scored an award-winning film called Departures, which I am very, very keen to watch. It's a Japanese film about a man who becomes a traditional mortician. And it struggled to get funding because it's such a taboo subject. Death is considered unclean. Hisaishi actually composed the music before they shot the film. They played the music whilst they were acting the scenes out, which really helped to give them a sort of an understanding as to
the feeling for that scene and what's
sort
being
of
put across.
to go for. Yeah, it's meant to be absolutely stunning, this film.
I mean, as we previously mentioned, music plays a major part in like conveying the emotions of what you're supposed to be watching.
And,
well, I mean, like you have a look at like Guardians of the Galaxy. That did a really good example
that was
of
wonderful.
Using the music, which is integral to the character, to explain the feeling of every scene.
Yeah, and as you'll see, the color grading during those scenes, it really just encapsulated you. It was so good at that. So yes, Hisashi Joe, if you want to add anything, Kyle?
I love this man so much, and his music is beautiful and wonderful and elegant, and it is so beautifully written.
It is.
I'm going to have to go and listen to some after this episode.
Yeah, I think that everyone, do yourselves a favour.
Yeah.
And
grab some Hisashi Joe.
Yeah, check it out. I'd also like to mention Japan's king of love songs, Suzuki Masayuki. He has only, from what I've found, done one anime, and that is Kaguya-sama Lover's War. But it is very notable to mention because this guy's been active since 1980, composed and performed the intro Love Dramatic, you know, oh, love me, mister, oh, mister. Yeah, such a tune. And
I'm surprised that he's been active for so long and none of them have been used for anime. Maybe he didn't think any of them were worthy of it yet.
I didn't know.
This love story doesn't have quite enough mystery.
Doesn't inspire the swing.
This one doesn't have the madness.
Yeah, I don't know, but he's finally being used, and it's just so perfect.
He
and
seems
it's
such a cool individual,
yeah,
doesn't he?
he always wears the glasses and he's got the moustache, and it's just like, this guy is 62 and he does not look a day over like 35 or something.
Because I'm going to say, we tracked down the video of him performing this with his band. I would not have picked him to be 62.
Yeah. The energy in this band.
That seems to happen a lot. What was that other? Lupin the Third had a series not so long ago.
Yeah.
And their closing theme, so beautiful.
Oh, yeah, the closing theme. She was an anchor singer. And we were like, I reckon she's probably like 35, maybe 40. No, she was pushing almost, 70 or 80?
Yes.
It was just like, whoa. The voice on her was just phenomenal. And
voice
it was
just gets better with age.
Let's post that link after this.
I think we need to. So this is the closing theme for Lupin the Third Part 4, which I believe aired in 2015.
Yeah, it just kind of goes to show you that performance-wise, age is nothing in Japan.
Now, we do need to talk about a couple of notable bands and musicians who many have come across in a lot of the big anime shows. So first off, Asian Kung Fu Generation, or AKG for short. You might recognize their music if you've watched Bleach, Erased, Full Metal Alchemist, Naruto, or Tatami Galaxy. Which, obviously the last one's a bit more niche, but they're all shows which have had a fairly strong exposure to the West and, outside of Japan in general. You then have Flow, who similarly did Naruto, Code Geass. They actually did Dragon Ball Z's Japanese opening theme.
Wicked.
Beelzebub, Seven Deadly Sins, Durarara. I always stumble on that one.
There's always one more ra than you expect.
There is.
It's like walking up the stairs and then missing the last one.
And then we also have Lisa, who's pretty much one of my favourite Japanese artists.
What a set of lungs.
I know. Sword Art Online, the opening theme for the very first season, Crossing Fields, that is pretty much the song everyone if they fall in love with Lisa's music, that's normally where it starts.
Absolutely.
If you're from outside of Japan and haven't seen anything before. And that's what got me into it. She's done My Hero Academia Season 2's closing theme, I believe. She's done music for almost the whole Fate Stay series, at least the modern interpretation. This season's Demon Slayer, Nisekoi, and in Angel Beats.
Man, lady does not take a break.
Angel Beats, she was actually a character from the show. This is literally where she got her start in anime. She played, I can't remember the name of the character, but she replaces the lead singer of the band after the band leader disappears.
Oh, little devil-haired girl.
Devil
Yes.
girl. And she does all the singing for that character.
Angel Beats I really want to cover later because...
We will do that, and Angel Heats will break your heart.
God,
It will.
Actually will.
hurts.
It's
Over 12
great.
episodes.
It's worth watching. It's not like Grave of the Fireflies where
No.
you're just breaking pieces.
Yeah. It's a
yeah.
good hurt.
It's a happy hurt.
I hurt myself today.
Well, if you're going to watch that, you will.
Yeah.
But
Maximum
again, nice.
the hormone.
All right.
You wanna do what?
Maximum the hormone.
No, seriously,
So,
what?
Death Note's opening theme was
Yeah.
done by them. They did a song for Resurrection F in Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
Opening theme for
entitled
Airmaster.
F.
Yes. I have a story about Maximum the Hormone.
I'll go for it.
So they were meant to come to Perth about a decade ago.
Oh, whoa.
Guess
think I
why
was
they
reading-
cancelled their tour? Because I had tickets.
I was reading about this.
They cancelled the tour because the drummer got pregnant.
Yeah, and she
Whoa.
was really upset about it. She's like,
was
I've never
devastated.
felt like held back, but then I have to be held back because I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only girl in the band. She's the drummer, and she's insanely good.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you guys have heard this band, their drum line, the speed at which she plays is
Yeah.
just like, whoa.
They're also a band that has no regard for genre.
No.
So what is it? Koino Mega Lover changes genre about 6 times
You
in the
should-
song.
I remember
Oh,
that song.
do
Used to play that
yourselves a
over
favour.
your car radio.
Yeah, yeah.
All do yourselves a favour and check it out.
Good on Mars.
And also the band members have appeared as extras in the live-action adaptation of the manga Beck, also known as the anime Beck Mongolian Chop Squad.
Hang on, so there was a live action film of that?
Yes.
We still need to watch this
So
series.
that is one that we are missing from musical sort of back catalogue, which is Beck Mongolian Chop Squad, which we do need
We
to watch.
will rectify this.
And
It's-
one
yeah.
last artist to mention, Nico Touches the Walls, which you might recognise if you watched Naruto Shippuden when they had the diver intro, which is where Naruto's falling into the water.
Oh, it's stunning.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and Haikyuu. Now, we have talked about artists, we've talked about studios, and we're going to be talking about K-On! In a moment. But if you're looking for anime which has got a strong musical part to it, you'll want to look at Cowboy Bebop, of course, Wolf's Rain, Carol and Tuesday, which is currently airing, and mid-August, the first half of that will be on Netflix worldwide, so you can see what we're talking about. There's Hibiki Euphonium, which is what it's like being in a brass big band. There's Beck Mongolian Chop Squad, which is about basically building a
rock
rock and
band.
rolls band in Japan. There's pretty much all of the Ghibli soundtracks, and there's K-On! That's just to name a few. This goes a lot deeper.
Music is such a huge thing when you're creating something like this. It's even something to keep in mind if you are to create your own works. It's
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like My Hero Academia, like the show is fantastic, but it wouldn't be as good as it was without that epic soundtrack that's been crafted behind it.
and it's saying of which that soundtrack itself has become a little bit of an internet meme. The idea that You Say Run, the big song that plays whenever something
Epic
dramatic
happens.
and epic is happening, goes with everything.
And it does.
It totally does.
Because it's amazing. I actually have it in my gym pre-workout playlist. I rack that on in the car and then go to the gym.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we do not advise you listening to that song before driving. Just
Or while driving.
oh gods no.
I have to put it on cruise control, otherwise I'll be girt by police. Anyway, moving right along, we need to go talk about K-On!
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
I think I watched that as a kid.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Back Catalogue.
And that was a lovely little snippet from Hibiki Euphonium, in case you didn't know. K-On! The light music club
Yep.
that
That is
utterly
just absolutely stunning and so sweet. And we really can't talk about music and anime without mentioning K-On! It was first a light novel and then made into the anime called, KyoAni, follows
apologies. It was a manga first.
Oh,
Are you
Yeah.
sure?
mistake.
Yes,
Sorry.
I am. I'm very sure.
So it follows the High School Light Music Club and its members, guitarist and vocalist Hirasawa Yui, bassist and vocalist Akiyama Mio, drummer Tainaku Ritsu, who's my favourite, and keyboardist Kotobuki Sumugi, who is also my favourite because of her eyebrows. These 4 girls join the club in order to prevent it becoming disbanded. And eventually, they, after 1 year of having the club, they gain a 5th member who's second guitarist Nakano Azusa. To the chagrin of bassist and vocalist Mio.
Azunyan.
Azunya, yes. It takes them a while to get into the groove of writing music, and they're often distracted by hanging out in the room and just having tea and cakes.
Which makes up like rather a lot of the anime.
Yeah, and it's adorable. Sumugi actually comes from a really rich family, so
We think she might be like Swedish or Scandinavian or
something like
some
that.
heritage.
But yeah, when they finally get into playing and composing, they're really good.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so good, in fact, that the first mini album release of the anime's songs, Hokago Tea Time, debuted at number 1 on the Oricon Weekly CD albums charts, selling 67,000 copies, making it the first image song album credited to fictional anime characters that reached that position. And yes, each of the voice actresses sing.
Yeah. And I have to, on that note, we do have a snippet of one of the songs which is called Listen, which was the closing theme. So the opening theme of the anime is sung by Yui's voice actress, and the closing theme sung by Mio's voice actress, the bassist. Oh no, the kazoo! I shouldn't have suggested it. So yes, that's an example of what the vocalists and the group can actually do. And truth be told, they did so well with this that they actually then had to put on a live show, which they had obviously a backing band. But they actually learnt to play Staple Staple, which was one of the songs that the characters played. It is a simple song, but none of them could play the instruments before.
So they just had to...
They did it live.
Flash learn.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And they did a really good job.
Like, imagine what that must be like for them. It's like, oh, we're just voice actresses. And then they have a rabid fan base going, we love your music. It's not all our music.
Oh dear, we need to do more.
And I mean, the voice acting is phenomenal. Like, to get voice actors, as I was mentioning earlier, who can sing, if you think about that at least in Western adaptations of anything like the dub cast, not many of them are going to be good singers. Like, it's not like usually something that is associated with it, but in Japan, it's something that is completely associated with it now.
Absolutely.
And we have that with Rei Takahashi, who sings a lot of the outros. She does the outro song for Konosuba with because she plays Megumin in that and sings the outro. She's done the outro for Isekai Cheat Magician, which is airing this year, because she plays one of the characters in that. It's impressive to see how much these people do, considering what we associate with a voice acting role.
I mean, her especially. That another girl who just
Ree
doesn't
just
take
does
a break.
way too much, and she's only 25. And you have a look at her back catalogue, and you're like, you've got a back catalogue the size of someone who'd been working in the industry for their whole life. And you've only been at it for 6 years.
Doesn't she have like a podcast or a TV show where she just sort of chills out and chats with people randomly.
Yeah, she does that too.
Is
I
that
guess
just
that's her only time to.
Yeah, is that just her break doing a TV show?
They're not really breaks because they're promoting like TZ Master Takagi, for instance. She talks about the location where the writer lives, which is where everything in that show is set. And she went and visited it, and they show her happy snaps from it. And okay, it is promoting TZ Master Takagi, but it's her just talking to another voice actress who I think she met on the ReZero set. It's like, oh, okay.
It's just, good Lord, I want to start a GoFundMe for this lady just, to pay for a vacation for her, just so she can relax.
Then there's a whole load of ASMR stuff they do with her as well, where she puts on her TZ Master Takagi voice and whispers stuff into your ear.
She does have a really nice voice.
She's got a beautiful voice.
But yeah, it's just... Man, she is doing a lot.
She does, and she's not a one-trick pony where she's only got super shonen and then high-pitched girl. She's got a massive range of voices that she can put on, which is no offense to some of our English dub voice actors, but some of them don't have much range. They kind of have one or another voice, and that's kind of it. The issue I'm having mostly is the poor quality dubs Netflix have been putting out, because a lot of the content they've been putting out are from mostly unknown voice actors, and they're not. I don't know if the issue is with the voice actor or the directors, where the director is providing not enough information or guidance to guide how that voice should sound. Because you've essentially got an example of how to do it from the original version. Mm-hmm. So look at that and go, how does this character interact? How do they behave? What pitches do they use? How do they react when they're excited? How do they react when they're sound? How do they sound? It's all about that audio fidelity and understanding it. And that's something that KyoAni does really well. The characters have that dynamic range of their voice. If they're happy, they might be slightly higher pitched. They might talk slightly faster. If they're sad or, unhappy, they will slow down. They will, stop and start their words.
And yeah, I mean, as we're going back to KyoAni, it's like, and you get a lot of that, of them just talking and chatting and like having fun, because that is a lot of what the anime is. Like, it is based on a music club, but it is mostly about them just chilling out and sipping tea and having little cakes. It's a slice of life.
Honestly, amongst the music and the camaraderie and the beautiful animation and their awkward sensei, if you're a musician, you'll get a real kick out of watching the girls play. All of their playing is animated accurately.
Oh, yeah.
And... Mugi's eyebrows.
Mugi's eyebrows.
Oh, they're so cute.
So, Mugi has eyebrows which are referred to in the manga, which, truth be told, the manga is actually a 4-coma. It's not a traditional manga as you'd expect, which is surprising considering how much content they've managed to pull out of it. It's not 4-coma, it's a bit more detailed than 4-coma. But Mugi's eyebrows are frequently referred to as pickled radish. The little yellow...
Pickled daikon is
pickled daikon radish. The little triangular sort of yellow daikon radish that you'd find in some Japanese dishes. And there are many moments in the manga where there's a special little episode where Yui's dreamt of eating her daikon radish eyebrows, which is very strange.
So all the main characters in this were actually named after another band. Like, everyone is named after an individual band member of a group called P-Model.
P-Model.
They are from 1979. They tragically broke up in the year 2000. Interesting kind of rock band, and actually a lot more prolific in the anime world than you would actually credit them for. They've been mentioned in manga called Sorrow of a Perfectly Healthy Girl and Opus. They have also been featured in anime such as Sailor Moon, Perfect Blue, Beck Mongolian Chop Squad, and Space Dandy.
Wow, okay, that's pretty impressive.
That is pretty cool.
So yeah, it's like, even though they're broken up, they've
had a lasting impression on the industry.
Absolutely. I mean, like, each of the individual members of this named after like a member of the band.
Wow,
it's like,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, did the band have 5 members?
Yes.
Oh, that explains it.
We're about to talk about a band that's got just 2.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
We'll be there on time. There's 20 minutes of ads.
Cinema Club.
There were 20 minutes of ads the other night.
I just realised I messed up that reference. I should have made a reference to the number 5, because this is what we're going to talk about.
Interstella 5555.
Five,
The
five, five,
five
five.
story of the 5 Ekrit 5 tar fiefdom. Sorry, it's actually the story of the secret star system, but all
Yeah.
the S's are replaced with
Also
fives.
referred to as Interstellar 4-5 because there's 4 fives.
Ah.
And of course, I was referring to Daft Punk.
Yeah,
earlier.
so this is a 2003 Japanese-French animated musical sci-fi, and it's the visual story of Daft Punk's second studio album, Discovery.
Now, a lot of people might not actually know about this, but they will have undoubtedly seen bits of it, maybe on like Rage or music video programs, because
Yeah.
all of the story is basically narrated. Well, not so much narrated; it's put over the top of hit songs from Daft Punk's Discovery album.
And
Yes.
in my sort of case, I saw it in the gym, and that was my first introduction
And it was
to
a
Daft Punk.
It was a fascinating thing, wasn't it? It's like if you're watching Rage or like a music video program, and back in the 90s, that was huge.
See, the video clips, as you're saying, on those programs, they are all the song. It's just the segment of the song
Exactly.
from the film cut out.
But, and like, yeah, everyone's first exposure to this was undoubtedly the song One More Time. And like, you
Group
watch
of blue people dancing around.
a group of blue anime people dancing around this like futuristic spacey world. But yeah, it's like, if you're watching Rage, you've got like music videos by, say, Spice Girls, Backstreet Boys. You've got
Yeah.
people dancing around. There's sometimes a little narrative to those old music clips, which I love. And then just this out of nowhere, and you're just like, what the heck is this? It's like one of those instances where anime invaded the
Yeah.
mainstream in a very big way.
So a couple of nights ago, we decided to sit down and watch it again because Coco hadn't seen it, and all I can say is that my neighbours heard this.
Daft Punk is playing at my house.
My house. Just Daft Punk for an hour and 30 minutes.
Daft Punk.
just like Japoon.
Now we should probably go
Yeah.
into the story of it.
So, firstly, before we do go into that, the film was produced by Daft Punk, Cedric Hervert, Emmanuel de Brutel, with Toei Animation, and it was supervised by Leiji Matsumoto, who is well known for his space opera anime. So he did Space Battleship Yamato, Space Pirate Captain Harlock, and Galaxy Express 999. And the film is said to have cost around $4 million US to do, and features no dialogue, just minimal sound effects such as rain and car tires. And this idea for the film actually formed, during the early Discovery recording sessions where they decided they wanted to do something which tied it together with music and the industry and sci-fi. And the video clips for this will all feature a short, complete acts of a much wider narrative. So when you see the video clips of Daft Punk songs from Discovery, be aware that's part of a much bigger story.
Absolutely, yeah.
On the note of that story, please,
yes.
away with the plot, because this story has a lot of very cool characters in it.
And that's the thing. All very cool characters. They all have their own sort of, personalities and stories and these just emotional themes.
And you get invested.
And
do.
not a word is spoken. There is no dialogue, as you've said. So, an unscrupulous musical executive and his minions kidnap these beautiful blue aliens from their planet who are like members of a great techno band. They rob them of their identities and memories, pass them off as human, and foist them on an unsuspecting public on Earth. After their arrival and their impact on the human population, the members of the band try to piece back together their identities, escape from the clutches of this evil musical executive, and try to return to their world.
So you have technically six main characters. Octave, who is the keyboardist and vocalist of the band, who are dubbed the Crescent Dolls. Stella, the only female band member who's the bassist as well as the main protagonist for the film. Arpeggius, you're picking up a musical notation here.
Pattern.
The guitarist of the Crescent Dolls, who is pretty damn cool. And Barrel, who's the diminutive drummer of the Crescent Dolls. He's noticeably shorter in stature than
He's
pretty
like a
much
little Smurf.
every other character.
Like a
He's
little
Krillin
Smurf,
with a
isn't he?
mullet.
He is Krillin with a mullet. You then also have Shep, who is an alien astronaut who's on a mission to rescue the Crescent Dolls, and he has a crush on Stella, which is shown through a beautiful song,
Digital
Digital Love.
which was my first ever experience of dark punk.
And that story then comes full circle with the Something About Us song, which I'll get to in a moment. You then have the villain, the Earl de Darkwood.
Dun, dun, dun.
He is the human captor of the Crescent Dolls and the main antagonist of the film, and along with his robot army, he goes around capturing people from all different, places in the universe, and then, turning them into his top-selling artists.
Yeah, I love that. A sort of a montage of what's going on with this guy? What's he doing? You get to see that he has been responsible for Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Jimi Hendrix,
Janis Joplin,
Ella Fitzgerald, Jimmy Page, all these great artists. They are not of Earth.
And you just
they are in fact kidnapped aliens.
Elvis didn't die; he just left the planet. But the thing about Interstella 5555 is that the music dictates the story, and this is something which is often the other way around in production, and it's something that makes this really stand apart. So the second track of the album is Aerodynamic, and it has a guitar solo in it, and this is during the scene where the band are being captured by the Earl minions, and the guitarist is the only one who gets away because the guitar solo is what is used through
what
it.
is only
so
playing,
he is,
yeah.
of course, the one that gets away. It's not going to be the bassist or the drummer. It's going to be the guitarist.
The story is dependent on the music in this instance, yeah.
The song Digital Love features moments where the beat of the track changes, and these breakdown segments are used to alert the fifth character, Shep, that there's an alarm going on because of the sound and the very different sound it makes. And that lets him know about the kidnapping a band, and then the following tempo, as it increases, leads to the space chase. So it kind of laid the track for how they could get to each point.
So did they have the story in mind before they wrote?
I'm under the
their
impression
songs?
they had, when they were doing it, they decided this was something they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And when they finished the album, they then went back
Yeah.
and animated the
okay.
whole
I
thing.
actually have a quote from the band member Thomas Bangartha. An exploration of song structures and musical forms is what was planned for this album. It was a reflection of childhood memories where they listened to music from a more playful and innocent viewpoint. And yeah, when they were playing this, when they were making up their songs, they were going back to inspiration from some of their great favorite animes of all times, including Grendizer. That is a giant robot anime, I believe we referenced not so long ago. Candy, which we have
we
also
talked about
referenced
earlier today.
Yes, that which
very
corrupts the
popular
French.
in France.
And Space Battleship Yamato, of course, which we have yet to talk about and absolutely must.
Yes, we should. But going back to the music dictating the story, there's little bits and pieces which do then help dictate it. So you've got, during the band's live performance on Earth, for instance, there is a string section supporting the band as they're introduced, which is present on the track Superheroes. It was, as they're being introduced, it's got this, dum dum dum, yeah. It feels like a build-up, and it's used as a build-up for the band to introduce them. You've then got the track Something About Us, which I mentioned earlier, is used to great effect when Shep finally rescues the band and he gets to actually meet Stella. And I've got a little sample of you so you know how it's a bit different from the first track.
The right time,
It also greatly reflects the mood.
the right one. But there's something about us I want to say. 'Cause there's something between us anyway.
It's so sad.
It is.
I'm not going to give away
No,
why it's sad.
it's
but
awful, but it's beautifully done. And, you get that.
They do
and
such a good job of emoting.
They do. And because the songs are emotive already, it's easy to piece together a story that connects with them. And, for the final story point for one of the characters, Too Long, which is, I think, the 10th or 11th track on the album, is used for that travel as they travel home to the planet in Shep's spaceship.
Which is shaped like
A guitar.
Yep.
And at the end of the film, there's a young boy in his room, sleeping and surrounded by toys of the characters, and the Discovery album is taken off the record player. And it's suggesting it's all the child's dream about how it comes. And you've got this beautiful little moment where he's falling asleep in bed, and next to him, he's got the doll for Stella and Shep lying next to each other. And you're just like, oh!
And that harkens back to what they were planning for it. It was a reflection of childhood memories and that sort of thing.
So if you do want to watch 5555, Quattro 5,
4-5.
4-5,
Interstellar
4-5 as in the time signature. That makes a lot of sense now.
Hey!
Yeah. We just discovered something. You can catch it on demand on Stingray Quello, which I had no idea what this was. It's actually a concert streaming service that's owned by Amazon. So they've got recordings of old concerts you can watch.
That sounds incredible.
So they've got the whole thing on there, and it also has a 7-day free trial for anyone to watch international. So that's a great way to check it out.
Do yourselves a favor.
Yeah. You can also buy it on Blu-ray and DVD on Amazon, along with a few other retailers. And as a very last resort, if you can't get any of these in your country, you can find it on YouTube.
But, support your local artists.
Support your local artists,
really
of course.
good to know.
But, I mean, because we had so much trouble tracking it down.
Yeah.
It was very lucky I knew someone who had a copy of the DVD. But anyway, that is where we're going to have to leave it for today, because we've gone way over time again, and we're really good at this, I promise.
It's what we do.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Well, another episode done, dusted, and in the barrel for you. So let us know what you thought, and if you do want us to start covering anything in particular, sound off in the comments or chuck us a word on our Facebook page. We're always listening.
You can always use suggestions.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know what you'd do if you were in the Dr. Stone world. What would you start with? Would you start with a wheel? Would you start with a mirror? Would you start with a religion?
Maybe a rifle. That makes sense.
Well, that works. Next week, we're going to be talking 80s anime. Everything from Akira to Ranma.
Now, there's a lot in the 80s. It's the genus of a lot of genres and a lot of very unique styles.
A lot of giant robots.
A lot of giant robots.
And it's very 80s, and we love that. So please listen, subscribe, smash that button. You know how it goes.
I'm
so good at this, aren't I?
That's
I've just taken
awful.
over from Kyle.
How dare you?
Everyone should vote for me.
No one
Vote
smashed
for
the
me.
like button.
Come
I'm
on.
turning your microphone down, right down. All right, there we go. Sorry, Coco, you have been taken off mic duty for the rest of this episode.
That's the censor button.
Yes, that is the censor button. Anyway, we'll be back in a fortnight's time with another episode. Keep an eye out, because we will be launching Kawaii-Fi reviews in the coming weeks. A much shorter form version than our usual shows, just telling you about, anime that might be worth checking out. It's all back catalogue. It's nothing brand spanking new, but it's stuff that has, for the most part, formed our lives in anime. And if there's anything you'd like us to check out, once again, let us know.
Yes.
But between now and then, enjoy yourself, watch some anime.
Smash that button.
Catch you guys later.
Bye.